Heading to my pickup this morning. The Tesla is going to go right to the address that I put in the nav system. Don't have to look for street signs. Don't have to worry about the turns. Especially don't have to look for the house number, because almost never are they easy to see in the dark. We're approaching our last turn before we get to the address. Well, this is the hardest part, figuring out exactly where the address is. But Tesla stops exactly at the right place. You see my rider. Even going to the side of the road that I want to be on. And there we end, right smack in front of the house. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm putting the address into Tesla because this is a full self-driving Tesla. And it's going to drive us to your location.
Boy, well, you told me that first for everything, right?
What's that?
I said, but you told me that first for everything.
Yep. There we go. So it's taking over. No hands, my feet are on the floor.
Flintstones could see us now.
Exactly. Are we going to be able to make this turn? I don't think so. I think I'm going to have to take... Yeah, it's learned to back up, but in a parking lot. But I'm going to have to do this U-turn. If your loop was big enough down here, probably could do it. But so I'll manually make the turn, and then I will put it back in self-drive.
What's this showing us? We're still in control.
Well, I can take control anytime I want, and I have to be looking straight ahead because I don't have to have my hands on the steering wheel, but there's a camera right up here, and that camera is looking at my eyes. So if I look to the side as I'm going past something for too long, it'll let me do a little bit of looking. Or if I concentrate on the screen while it's in full self-driving, it will give me a warning, and if I don't heed the warning and start paying attention again, it slaps me on the wrist, takes me out of full self-drive, makes me drive the rest of the trip. So it's a little bit like a big brother watching, but it ultimately, hopefully people will be willing for it to watch them, because you'll see this is a very, very safe driving car.
You should have seen the video they had of this guy with a Neuralink hooked up. He's a quadriplegic.
I've watched it.
And he could sit there and play a video game
Yeah, I've watched it.
just by thinking.
I've watched it. I'm an incredible Musk fan, so I watch all the Neuralink updates. There's a second patient now, but I don't know if there's any video on him yet.
I've seen both of them. They were on Joe Rogan.
Ah. So how's the second one doing?
That is the second one. The first one was paraplegic, and
Right.
he was able to stand and walk
I didn't know that the first one could stand.
Yeah, he could stand and walk with the help of those bars, the walking bars or whatever.
Yep. But
But,
the
I mean,
second
it was
one,
better than not being able to do anything at all.
So the second one's paraplegic
He's a
or
quadriplegic.
quadriplegic? That's
And
what
he's
I
the
meant.
one that can do the video. That's only the second one I saw. I don't know what the time frame was between the two of them, but
Well, the second one was just recent, within the last
Mhm.
month for sure.
Yep. I think I just watched it maybe during the hurricane.
Oh, something to do. So do you follow all of his companies? Do you follow the SpaceX?
I follow improvement of the human race.
Yeah, likewise. And this is on the way here. So since you're into this, I will tell you about my experience the other day. I decided the day before the hurricane, I went to Publix because I knew it was going to be busy there, because the new version of the software, I have the very latest version now, and the latest version will do what they call actual smart summon, so I can summon the car.
Mm-hmm.
And Musk added the word actual to it because they had smart summon before, but it wasn't working properly. There were incidents where it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, so they stopped doing it. And this is maybe 5 years ago that they stopped. So now it's back in place, so I can park in a parking spot in the parking lot, go up to the store, do my shopping, come out and bring up the app, and the app will show me, and it'll show where the car is, and I hit a button on the cell phone that says come to me, and that car will back out of the parking spot and come and pick me up right in front of the store. So I was doing this. In fact, I can put that app on.
Imagine what it's going to be like in 5 years.
Oh, it's going to be incredible. So anyway, I did this 3 times, and of course, you have to watch it. You want to make sure that nothing's happening, and if something wrong is happening, you can just take your finger off the phone, and then it'll stop. It'll just stop right where it is. So it worked beautifully all 3 times. The 3rd time it comes to me in front of the store, and as I approach the car, a manager from the store is walking my way. So I thought he was impressed or something. So I went over and talked to him, and what he said was, we've had several complaints that there's a Tesla driving around the parking lot without a driver.
A complaint. That's funny.
Several complaints. They were afraid they were going to get injured, possibly. And I think because people don't know what full self-driving is, much less this newest thing that is just out, called Smart Summon. So they don't know that, and I'm pretty sure they thought there was someone with a joystick, like a game, like an RF car.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's what they thought it was. Now, hopefully they went on Google and found out what it actually is. But anyway, I talked with him for about 10 or 15 minutes. He was really intrigued by the car, besides the complaints. He asked for me to open the back seat because he wanted to see how much space there was in the seat you're sitting in. And of course, it's huge. It's a big car. A medium-sized car, I should say, anyway. But anyway, he was impressed with that, and I told him about full self-driving, and I showed him on the app how it worked, and if I saw that there was a problem, I'd lift my finger. What I didn't tell him, and I wish I had, was that you watch this car and how careful it is. If it sees a pedestrian, it absolutely stops and waits for them to get out of the way. If it sees a car, it'll stop and let that car get out of the way before it continues on. And ultimately, it's way safer than the idiot drivers that drive through your parking lot every day. Because they're speeding through the parking lot, they don't obey the stop signs, and they, just yesterday, I was at a Wawa down on 54, and there's a road that goes to an Aldi's that goes right essentially through the Wawa, between the charging station and the store. And I start walking across that, and a car comes zooming down. Had I continued to walk, he would run me over. And it's not uncommon to see that kind of thing. A lot of people in the car will challenge the person. You stay there, I'm driving by, kind of thing. Not this car. This car, if you start out in the street, it stops. It will absolutely not play chicken with you. And so this car, the bottom line is, this car is way safer in the parking lot. So with my experience so far, I've parked it 6 times at that same Publix. And I've played with it a lot in my neighborhood. Walk down the street and have it come to me, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go up to the curb quite as close as I would. It was probably between 2 and 3 feet away from the curb, and that's a little far as I'm concerned. But those are all refinements that will come. But this full self-driving is absolutely incredible.
I think it's amazing they're going to have hydrogen cars next year.
What's that?
They have a lot of companies are releasing hydrogen cars next year.
Yeah, well, that's not going to work,
I don't know.
unfortunately.
I've seen things where they've
I'm not saying-
they've proven they can run a car on water, and the people who invented it are dead because of it.
Yeah, except it's not really water.
Well, still, it's an alternate fuel.
It's oxygen.
Still an alternate fuel.
Right, it's the hydrogen, really, that's at the
They're
car.
finding out that the pyramids were used as power plants.
Yeah, I know. But here's what the problem. I've got a scientific background. Here's the problem with hydrogen. In order to get the hydrogen, you just don't harvest hydrogen. You convert water to hydrogen.
You actually have to split
And then
it.
of course when you burn it, then you can recombine the oxygen and hydrogen to make water.
I'm pretty
very
positive that
plain.
the concept alone, that if there's an idea for it, then it's going to happen. So someone's going to do it.
Well, they have done it.
Just like
There
cold
are-
fusion.
There are hydrogen cars out there. The problem is that it takes a lot of energy to make the hydrogen.
Yeah, but look at what he did with
Okay.
the electric car.
Where you put a solar panel out. I have a 10K system on the roof of my house, so at least a portion of the electricity that I'm using every day in this car is coming from the sun directly, no cost. You know, once I made the initial investment, and that actual investment was a pretty sweet deal because I bought it from a very small company, so I was able to get what at the time the big companies were selling for $55,000. I got it for $29,000, and at the time, Progress Energy, which is now Duke, was mandated by the state to invest a certain amount of money into, I think it was a percentage of their profits or something, into renewable energy. And the bottom line is, I got a $29,000 system. I got a $20,000 grant, no strings attached, no payment, anything, from the energy company. And then the $9,000 that was left, $3,000 was a tax credit. So bottom line is, my system cost $6,000. It paid for itself in 2 years, 2.5 years, by the energy I produced. And ever since then, this is 13 years ago, and ever since then, it's been reducing my electric bill. And the other thing that's going on is the hurricane has stopped down my progress toward the next feature, and that is this is breaking at green lights. This version, that's a bug that's in the software, and I'm reporting it, so that bug will go away. But anyway, with the electricity that's going in the car, now you will be able, if hydrogen cars take off, you'll be able to produce hydrogen at home, but you're going to be using your electricity. So it's kind of the same thing, that you can either use electricity to charge this car, and I had a Chevy Volt VOLT before this car, and that's a plug-in hybrid. I get 50 to 60 miles on a charge. So I did mostly electric driving in that one too, as long as I stayed around town. But you either be charging a car or you can make your hydrogen. But what's happening with this is I'm in the process of getting a new meter in that's going to give me off-peak electric rates. So I will charge the car between 12 midnight and 6 in the morning, and instead of 11.5 cents, it's hesitating there, I don't know why. I will, instead of 11.5 cents, I'll pay less than 5 cents a kilowatt hour to charge it. And at 5 cents a kilowatt hour, it's about 1/10 the price of gasoline for the same amount of energy. So compared with $3 a gallon, 1/10, that's 30 cents a gallon equivalent. So it's really a cheap car to run. But I have to admit, when hydrogen cars first concept came out, I thought that's pretty good, but you gotta generate the hydrogen. They just release the oxygen as far as I know. But then I don't see them pumping hydrogen around. I'm pretty sure the way it would work is the gas station or the gas station equivalent. I think this is what's happening. Well, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I know that there's some hydrogen fill-up stations in California. I've seen videos about that. You know, if you're going to burn something, hydrogen's a good thing to burn, because like you said, it's water that comes out the tailpipe. But nothing comes out the tailpipe. I don't have a tailpipe. So we'll see. But I'm equally excited about the spaceships, about SpaceX.
I watched The Martian last night.
Did you?
And that is what this world needs right now.
Yeah.
They need, right now, it would be very nice if the countries got together and helped get those astronauts home. A united coalition to help get them home.
Yeah.
Where everybody can be focused on heroes instead of villains.
Yeah. Well, I have no idea how old you are, because I can't really see in the dark, but I was there for the moon landings. And what we're lacking desperately in the United States is young people that are willing to go into the sciences and mathematics. They don't want to do that, it's too hard. But the Apollo moon missions, the drive toward entering science was absolutely huge. When you get something that exciting, the entire population is really excited about it, and young people I want to do something like that. So getting over to Mars, God, I love that movie. I've probably watched that movie 10 times. I'm looking forward to the day where we see Martians using their poop as fertilizer.
Yeah. Yeah.
No reason not to. And if I remember right, he was drying it before he used it. But once you put water back on it, then you can have that odor again. Although if you're now, there's going to be bacteria in your bowel movements. There has to be. You have to keep bacteria in your gut. No, I'm excited. How old are you?
53.
53?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you're not that far behind. I'm 73. But you got 20 more years. Yeah, on average, you got 20 more years than I do to watch all this stuff happen. It'll be quite the future.
You never know, they might find a way for you to live longer.
Well, I told my kids that I'm working on living to 120. But it's not because I would, yeah, this is a good reason to live that long, but I have 8 grandchildren, and I have my first great-grandchild that's 4 years old. And I told my kids that I don't want just grandkids, I want great-grandkids, I want great-great-grandkids, and if God lets me hang on around long enough, maybe I'll get to great-great-great-grandkids. Because I'm at the parks and the zoos and stuff with them all the time. And now my great-grandchild. So I enjoy life too much to be gone. Second door, I assume.
Yes, please. No, next one. Next.
No, I'm not stopping.
Oh.
It's stopping.